What if stories and legends could offer us the key to the hottest political issues of the day? What if all the answers to today's burning questions were presented in easy-to-digest narratives and myths? Join us as we examine some of the most fascinating tales, some mythological, some historical, and apply those lessons to the chaos of modern politics. With your host, Mark Angelides, welcome to The Rabbit Hole, Politics and Prose, a LibertyNation.com production.
There are symbols and signs, some open, some coded, that push us towards one thing or away from another. The most overlooked of these is that of colour. We may not realise it, but the natural world and the political world are full of secret messages based on colour and hue that are not only guiding us, but purposefully so. And those who understand the special properties of colour can use them to their own political ends for their charged games and intrigues. From our advertisements to our social media use, by way of a carefully presented thematic episode, we're under a barrage of information, and that information is crafted to persuade. Have you ever wondered why the likes of Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn, Tumblr, Periscope, and so many others all have blue as their main colour, their themed colour? Blue represents something, in this case, communication and calm. Blue's known as a background colour, and it doesn't get in your face, and therefore it promotes calmness and gives users a sense of peace when they're involved in it. The user feels that they're somewhere that they should be. And it also helps that blue is the colour that's most favoured by both men and women. Blue is also the colour that during the Shu dynasty in ancient China was the required clothing colour of all of the regular folks, the civilian classes, blue or black, with other brighter colours being reserved for high-ranking officials, and of course the emperor being the only person allowed to wear yellow. So blue became almost a badge of working class roots. Mandarins would often just wear a hint of blue in their dress, whether that's a feather or a gem, to show that they have not lost touch with the working classes, those they rule over. It showed that they were one of the people, which is very handy in a country that's got a very long history of revolution and uprising. And what of the present political system? We associate blue with Democrats and red with Republicans. Blue's an emotive colour because of the associations that we have with it. So when politicians talk about a blue wave, they mean a powerful force of nature, but also one that will result eventually in an ocean of calm. Blue sky thinking gives us an idea of an unconscious connection that attempts to persuade us that Democrats are the party of the grand idea, never before tried, except of course that it has. To uncover the roots of the American political colours, it's important to look at the past and the history and the precursors, in this case the British parliamentary system. In the United Kingdom, blue is the colour of the Conservative Party, and in fact it's the colour used by many right-leaning political outfits around the world. Conservatives or Tories were more or less forced into this colour choice by one event. Originally, the party, formed in 1834, used the full colour spectrum of the Union flag, or the Union Jack if it's at sea, red, white and blue. And then along came the Labour Party, the British equivalent of the Democrats. When this party of socialists and trade unionists began campaigning under the red flag, of which more later, the Tories were forced to drop their colour from their banners to avoid confusion. Being left with just blue and white, they opted to go for blue. But back to America for a moment. Why do parties that have ideological brothers and sisters across the pond not have the same colours? Well, essentially this is because the Republicans and the Democrats didn't choose their own colours. In fact, this standardization that we know today didn't really come into place until the 2000 election between Al Gore and George W. Bush. Prior to this, all newspapers and news networks would vary which colour represented on an outlet-by-outlet basis, And then came the New York Times and the USA Today electoral maps, which gave red to the Republicans, apparently because it started with an R. Whether this is an honest designation or not is lost to history, but if one were more skeptical, a case could be made that it was an intentional switch from the British traditions. Since Dwight D. Eisenhower in 1956, the New York Times has never supported a Republican presidential candidate, although they have on occasion supported individual Republicans for other offices. From 1960 onwards, they always battled for the Democrat. When deciding what colour to use in the widely viewed electoral maps of 2000, would it be beyond the publishers to try and make a little political capital? Portraying the Democrats as blue gives them an aura of calm and contemplation, and as mentioned, it appeals to both men and women. But it also means they're not identified with the colour red, which could perhaps be of more significance. Traditionally, red represented the monarchy or the church, quite literally the blood of Christ. During the French Revolution of 1789, the red flag was adopted to represent not the blood of Christ, but the blood of the angry workers. And this use of the red flag continued through the Russian Revolution, Marxism, socialism, and generally every left-leaning political organization. It's no secret that much of America had anti-communist tendencies, and the connection between communism, socialism, and the Democratic Party is clear to see, even today with the likes of Representatives Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez and the former Democratic candidate Bernie Sanders, all espousing a rehashed version of this ideology under the banner of democratic socialist. The red flag, the Marxist roots and the Dems, it's an interlocking history that gives many Americans an uncomfortable feeling. The political satirist, author and journalist P.J. O'Rourke perhaps described this deep-seated feeling best in a radio interview he gave in 2010. Quote, "I go off to college, and actually I'd become a communist to meet girls. So I came home at Christmas with my hair down to my shoulders and a jean jacket with a big red fist on the back, saying, arise ye proletariat or whatever. And my grandmother looks at me and says, 'Pat, I'm worried about you. Are you becoming a Democrat?' I said, 'Democrat? Grandma, of course I'm not a Democrat. I'm a communist.' And my grandmother paused, and she said, 'Well, as long as you're not a Democrat.'" End quote. So we have the communist red and the stable blue, and each is displayed to make associations. It's almost a freebie in terms of political messaging that allows people to live within their own echo chambers without ever having to hear a dissenting view. Colors are beautiful things. They can inspire emotions, calm an angered heart, soothe a savage soul, and even provide the boost of passion that we so often need to help us overcome the challenges of life. As Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts." Was this perhaps a warning? Are we too easily swayed by the secret language of color and therefore opening ourselves up to danger for our very being? Forewarned is forearmed. Never assume that a picture is just a picture, or that a color is just a color, or even that a kiss is just a kiss. These are the fundamental things that apply.
Thank you for listening to The Rabbit Hole, Politics and Prose, a LibertyNation.com production. Join us next time for more history, politics, legends, and stories.
Liberty Nation Gen Z. Becoming a strong defender of freedom and liberty doesn't just happen, it's taught. LN Gen Z is your portal for news that's hot, engaging articles without the spin. Go to lngenz.com for riveting videos that foster critical thinking. Download worksheets and quizzes for each age level. At lngenz.com, the future starts today. Combating propaganda. Defending freedom. lngenz.com. A free-thinking future starts here.